On this week's installment of Silver Screen News, Taylor Swift has beaten Martin Scorsese. Who saw that one coming? We've got news about Guillermo Del Toro's Frankenstein movie. We've even got news from Spawn. Spawn!
And make sure you keep it locked to the very end, because we also have an update on the latest Star Wars movie, all on Silver Screen News.
Hello, everyone. Thank you once again for joining us right here on our weekly, soon-to-be bi-weekly news show, Silver Screen News, with me, Nico Luro.
And me, Anthony Jordan.
We've got a lot of cool stuff to get into this week, guys. But as always, if you're movie fans, if you like movie punditry, movie news, this is the channel for you. Keep it right here on the Silver Screen Dudes. You can hit the like button right now if you do like this type of content. And hey, if you do like movie news, then make sure you're subscribing to us and make sure you tickle that notification bell so you know whenever a new bit of content is coming out on our channel. Basically, it's daily, but just stay tuned to the channel. There are there are timestamps down below if you want to jump to a specific news story. But let's not waste time. Let's get straight into it, AJ, because we have got a very, very cool bit of news this week to start with. News that kind of feels like Barbenheimer. It's got that type of vibe to it. Because, yeah, Taylor Swift, man, she's killing it. She's absolutely killing it. Her second week, and she just goes ahead and, does a number on. Yeah. Well, it's strength to strength, yes and no. But, here's essentially what the full story is. Let me break it down for you as follows. Taylor Swift beats Martin Scorsese at box office, but Killers of the Flower Moon opens strongly. There's a lot of nuance in this article. In a movie matchup almost as unlikely as Barbie and Oppenheimer, Martin Scorsese took on Taylor Swift in cinemas over the weekend. And while the box office belonged for a second time to Taylor Swift The Eras Tour, Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon got off to a strong start in Apple Studios' first major theatrical gambit. After a record-breaking opening weekend of $92.8 million, Taylor Swift The Eras Tour took in an estimated $31 million over the weekend, from just under 4,000 locations, according to AMC Theaters. In an unconventional deal, the cinema chain is distributing Swift's concert film and playing it only Thursdays through Sundays. Most Swifties rushed to see the film on opening weekend when a large percent of sales were driven by advanced ticketing. Sales dropped a steep 67% in its second weekend, potentially signifying that the Eras Tour was predominantly an opening weekend phenomenon. But the Eras Tour has still proved to be a movie event unlike any other. Within days, it became the highest grossing concert film ever in North America, not accounting for inflation. It has quickly accumulated $129.8 million domestically, which means it's made more money in 2 weekends than Blue Beetle did in its entire runtime. More was riding on Killers of the Flower Moon, a historical crime drama about a string of murders against the Osage Nation in the early 1920s. The film, which cost at least $200 million to make, is the largest production yet from Apple Studios. The streamer partnered with Paramount Pictures to release Scorsese's adaptation of David Grant's bestseller in just under 4,000 cinemas, with plans to later stream it on a not yet announced date on Apple TV+. Killers of the Flower Moon debuted with $23 million, marking it the third best opening for 80-year-old Scorsese. And Killers of the Flower Moon, with rave reviews and A cinema score from audiences and the backing of a robust Oscar campaign, should continue to play well over the long haul. It added $21 million overseas. Now, AJ, a lot to unpack here, but what do you make of all of this? Give me your thoughts.
I mean, here's the thing. You can see that it's something that caught the Swifties initially, but it's not, how can I say it? Without seeing it, this is just an open judgment. It's clearly something that is a one-time watch. It's something that you're either going to be at the concert or you're not. And to have a behind-the-scenes feel to it is going to be cool, but it's not the concert. You're sooner gonna stream her music multiple times than go back and watch this. But it's still big numbers, and that's the key thing. And it's still look, those who missed it on opening weekend are still making their way out, so it's still hitting strong. And look, as I always said, it's not probably a Silver Screen Dude. I shouldn't speak for you on it. It's not a Silver Screen Dude project of something to see. but it's something to be respected. Cinema's doing well. You won't hear me complain.
I mean, for me, the comedy is the fact that this movie has made more in 2 weekends than poor Blue Beetle did in its entire runtime, which is kind of a shame because Blue Beetle was a bit beige, vanilla, and generic, but it wasn't a terrible movie. It was better than Black Adam, I'll say that. Ooh, shots fired. But look, my review for Killers of the Flower Moon is up on the channel now. It's incredible. That's my honest opinion. It's not movie. It's not quite movie of the year for me, but it's up there. Like, wow. It's Scorsese back on form. It assaults you from every single angle. It does, however, feel a little bit like they were trying to make a limited series out of this. Like, if you told me that you could add on another 2.5 hours to it and make it a 6-hour, 6-part miniseries, I would have totally bought that. It feels like a series turned into a movie. It doesn't suffer for it. You feel the runtime very much in the first hour, but then hindsight 2020 kicks in and you realize that initial kind of drag is necessary because they're putting all the characters into place, and then things happen in the last 2.5 hours and you're like, oh, okay, I understand why we took our time. It is bloated. It is a little bit self-indulgent, but it's also a work. It's a work of art. Now, if people are going to be like, oh, but only 23 million, that's not much money considering it cost 200 million. Remember this. Martin Scorsese movies usually don't make their money back. They're made for this sounds cheesy and wanky, but work with me. They are literally made for artistic merit. I don't know a Martin Scorsese movie that was made to make money. I know the studios probably look at, which is why it ended up with Apple, right? None of the studios wanted to put 200 million into a 3.5-hour movie about a very, very, very niche subject matter, which probably wouldn't have populace appeal. And they'd be right. Case in point, 23 million made from a 200 million, not counting marketing, budget. This movie's going to lose money, but no one's going to be talking about that, unlike with other movies, because the movie's so damn good. That's what the difference between good movies and great movies are. Good movies that lose money, people say, oh, I lost money. Great movies, people just say how good it was, right?
Yeah.
Anything you care to add
No,
on
it's
this?
just an interesting concept, like the fact of where Scorsese is. I mean, that just shows that if you have the faith in an artist, you will still produce. And sometimes it's the revenue that comes after the film, like cinema, because people do rush out to buy a Scorsese movie. I'm not saying it covers the exact expense of the film, but that's interesting. And yeah, Warner, pay attention, man. This. You guys really need to really pick it up with this DC thing. Blue Beetle is losing again, but hey, yeah, we can only but hope. We can only but hope. There's a lot riding on
$1 billion beetle, baby. Well, a $10th billion beetle. What do you guys think of all this? Are you surprised that Taylor Swift beat Martin? Are you kind of like, no, this was always gonna happen? What are your thoughts on Killers of the Flower Moon and the Eras Tour? Let us know down below and subscribe if you haven't done so already. AJ, up next, do you remember a little old movie called Spawn with John Leguizamo?
Yes.
Spawn was
John Leguizamo.
Leguizamo was in it. He was the killer clown.
Yes, of course. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So, listen, from the studio, I think this year you've had more fun with than I have. But, Blumhouse are making Spawn. Blumhouse, who more recently have made things like Exorcist at the beginning. Not good. Believer, sorry, not beginning. Believer, not good. Megan, which I know you love, AJ. They did Invisible Man, and they've done a bunch of other low budget horror movies which have all been mostly successful. It is a bit hit and miss with Blumhouse, but usually when they hit well, and when they miss, boy, will you get The Exorcist. But yeah, Jason Blum is making a Spawn movie, AJ, and he says the Spawn reboot will be, and I love this, the Blumhouse version of a superhero movie. It's going to be edgy and original. Jason Blum is bringing the Blumhouse edge to the upcoming Spawn film adaptation. During a press line for Blumhouse in New York Comic Con, Blum teased the Spawn movie currently in development at his eponymous production company is going to be edgy and original as compared to other superhero movies, he said. It's going to definitely feel like the Blumhouse version of a superhero movie. Blumhouse Productions is best known for producing horror movies such as Megan, Get Out, and the Paranormal Activity, Insidious, and the Purge film franchises. Back in 2017, original comic creator Todd McFarlane announced that a new movie based on his human-turned Hellspawn was in the works at Blumhouse. McFarlane, who is on board to write and direct the film, is also producing with Blum. We just signed Jason Blum yesterday, McFarlane said in the video announcement at the time during San Diego Comic-Con. No more theoretical, it's coming, get ready for it, we're going into production. Jamie Foxx is set to star in Blumhouse and McFarlane's anti-hero film as Al Simmons, aka Spawn. In the comics, Spawn is a human turned Hellspawn who possesses superhuman strength and speed, as well as near immortality. The character also has the ability to teleport, shapeshift, and heal. Spawn first appeared in print in 1992 from Image Comics. New Line adapted the anti-hero character into a 1997 feature film starring Michael J. White. And HBO aired the animated series Todd McFarlane Spawn from 1997 to 1997, 3 seasons. AJ, what are your thoughts on the return of Spawn?
I'm excited because here's the thing. Essentially, while I'm scared of what he could do with a franchise based off of what you're saying, off of The Exorcist, what he's done with The Invisible Man was something very fresh and as close as you can link to a superhero movie from the Blumhouse production at the moment. That excites me. Can I tell you what doesn't excite me? And I feel terrible for saying this because I love the guy. Jamie Foxx as Spawn. It's not that Jamie doesn't have the range, and I'm not going down his Electro performance in Spider-Man as a knockoff on that. I think we're just playing the age game, if I'm honest. Like the same way we talked about, or you've mentioned rightfully so, Mahershala Ali as Blade, and will it happen because of a certain age? Jamie's up there in that age. Like, let's go back to the original story. The original film that is, sorry. Michael J. White was the guy doing it, you know? He was young, he's muscle bound, he's doing that. Now, Jamie Foxx, I'm not too sure, but he doesn't have the build that Michael J. White has, and is touch water as well. Like it's not going to sell me, and I know there are ways of building certain things. And again, it's not hate on Jamie. I would have preferred to see a young up and coming star do that and have the potential to go further than just be Jamie Foxx. And don't get me wrong, Jamie is an astounding actor, and I'm sure he'll knock it out of the park. I would have just preferred a younger actor myself with a bit of a build. Dare I say maybe a Jonathan Majors? I know that's a bit of a taboo name to say in this industry right now, but that would have been what I'm going for.
Listen, what's taboo at this point? All these people who have been taboo for the last few years, Kevin Spacey and whatnot, have now been found not guilty. To be honest, as far as I'm well, Ezra Miller, TBC, Jonathan Majors, TBC. The most taboo person in Hollywood at the moment, old Rachel Zegler.
Yeah.
And that's because she needs a PR team, poor girl. No, I'll say this. I'm a secretive fan of the Spawn movie from 1997. I know it's not good, but I was probably younger than I should have been seeing that. 1997. I was 10 years old. Definitely shouldn't have seen Spawn.
Yeah, I was 12. I shouldn't have seen it. Yeah.
Definitely shouldn't have seen Spawn. Funnily enough, I managed to see it in the cinema. It was my godmother Annabelle who took me. Yeah. We somehow managed to get in. Who knew? Cool as. I thought it was inventive. I like the character. I like the story of Spawn. I think it's cool. Like, yeah. What always worries me though when directors go in with the aim of being edgy. It's like, don't be edgy for the sake of being edgy. Be edgy if the character requires it to be so, you know?
Which I think can work with Spawn.
In Spawn's case, it's definitely required. Like, don't get me wrong. It always just gets me. It's a bugaboo of mine when someone says, like, yes, it's going to be great because it's edgy. It's like, well, okay.
But it can go wrong. Look, Ang Lee got it wrong. Yeah.
Exactly. Make it good.
Greco-Roman tragedy. Get out of here.
Exactly. But look, I'm super excited for this. There's also a little alarm bell ringing at the fact that Todd McFarlane, who created Spawn, is now also directing this movie. Just because you're a good comic writer doesn't make you someone that they should pick for the big screen. There's history of this not working. Jeff Johns, who did the entire DC run, the New 52, one of the best comic book runs ever, he's put in charge of the DCEU. That didn't go so well, did it? Then you've got people like you've got people like Simon Kinberg and Dave Filoni, who are like hardcore X-Men guys. Yeah, their X-Men movies didn't go so well, did they? Like, it just because you're good on the page doesn't mean you're good on the screen.
Yeah,
we shall see.
Your thoughts on Jamie as Spawn?
Because I see Spawn as more of a middle-aged guy, someone who's trying to fight for his wife and daughter, it works for me.
Fair enough.
But I'd equally be happy with a young up-and-comer, Michael J. White. Sorry, not Michael J. White.
B. Jordan.
John Majors, thank you. Michael B. Jordan. But I'm a mark for Michael B. Jordan. Literally, if a role for a charming, troubled black man is needed, I'll be like Michael B. Jordan. Just cast him in everything, because he is to me what Sandra Bullock is to Rajesh Kuthrapali. He's great in everything.
Am I right in saying just keep it away from David Washington?
John David Washington's such a weird one. Like, he's very much become the law of diminishing returns for me, John David Washington. Like, he was amazing in Black Klansman, but he really didn't set my world alight in the Creator, Tenet. These are films that just made me go, oh, you're not your dad, are you?
Bit of a problem there.
Our third story is a fun one. Could be a fun one. Could also go so very wrong. Because our third story, AJ, involves a certain monster, a doctor, and a bride. Let's talk about Guillermo Del Toro's live action Frankenstein. This should be fun because it's got one hell of a cast behind it. So, Guillermo Del Toro's Frankenstein, Oscar Isaac, Andrew Garfield, and Mia Goth's roles revealed. According to what's on Netflix, Isaac will play the role of the monster in Guillermo Del Toro's Frankenstein movie, which currently has Prodigal Father as its working title. Goth will portray the role of the bride, while Garfield will play the doctor. After teasing that he was working on a monster movie in December 2022, Deadline confirmed Del Toro was making a live-action adaptation of Frankenstein with Garfield, Isaac, and Goth in March 2023. Written and directed by Del Toro, the movie is being released and distributed by Netflix. Warning. Set in Eastern Europe in the 19th century, the story of Dr. Pretorius, who needs to track down Frankenstein's monster, who is believed to have died in a fire 40 years before in order to continue the experiments of Dr. Frankenstein, the current long line reads. Christoph Waltz, who recently voiced the role of Count Volpe in 2022 Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, has also been cast in the movie in an undisclosed role. Del Toro told Collider in October 2023, I'm doing Frankenstein. We're working on it. We start shooting in February. It's a movie I've been wanting to do for 50 years. Since I saw the first Frankenstein, I had an epiphany, and it's basically a movie that required a lot of growth and a lot of tools that I couldn't have done 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Now I'm brave or crazy enough or something. I'm going to tackle it. It's Oscar Isaac, Andrew Garfield, Christoph Waltz, Mia Goth, and we're working on it. AJ, we're getting another Frankenstein movie, and it sounds like it's a weird follow-up to the original story. Your thoughts?
That was the alarm bell for me. I think we're quite far removed from, don't get me wrong, the right film fan will go back in time to catch it. But I would have started with the origin. I would have built before just randomly giving someone a sequel, a follow-up, because people want to see how the monster came about. You know, there's the whole situation of, we're calling it Frankenstein. It's going to be called the monster throughout because it's Frankenstein's monster. Frankenstein is not the monster. People need to see Dr. Frankenstein. How are we doing this story without even having seen him? And I don't just want to have just weird flashbacks while then continuing on the story. It doesn't sit right. I think you can still listen. The cast tells me that you can have an awesome performance, but I feel people are going to be a bit not disjointed, but a bit lost because some people are aware of the monster, but just through Halloween tradition. It's going to be sad that some of the people run into it are going to be more familiar with the character through watching something like Hotel Transylvania than they are the actual original story written by Mary Shelley. You know, and that's the part that bugs me. I feel like I personally would do with the origin story. Even if you wanted to reinvent it, look at the Invisible Man story as old as time. They've changed it up. It could be what it is, but don't give me a follow up and expect me to know what's what. And then it's a hunt for the monster. Give us the creation of the monster. It's alive. You know, that's what we're looking for, personally.
I'm going to leave you on screen a moment and challenge that, because is what you've not just said a bit of a Batman and the Pearls in Crime Alley situation? There have been a lot of Frankenstein movies, and they have every single one of them since 1940 dealt with his origin.
How many? When was the last Frankenstein you can think of? Because it's been a while for me. Where Batman gets rebooted nearly. How many times in my generation have I seen a reboot of Batman compared to how many times I've seen a reboot of
That's
Frankenstein?
true. That's very true. And so in what 40
You
years
know,
we've
I
had
don't need to see Uncle Ben die again. I've seen three Spider-Mans in the space of something. It's so far so close between. You could actually make a film with all three Spider-Men in there. You can't do that with Frankenstein. The gaps are huge. And with that, I think it doesn't hurt to reintroduce the character.
You have a point. The length of time between them is a very valid point.
Yeah.
So alarm bells are ringing for me. Not because it's a sequel. I've let you deal with that nugget. Three reasons. One, and first and foremost, Netflix. Netflix do not make good movies. They make fantastic series. Some of the best out there. I would go as far as to say that Netflix, in terms of broad series, are second only to HBO Max when it comes to series quality. They are so good. Um, Big stars in a Netflix movie. Usually that tells me that you're trying to hide a bad movie behind the big stars. This has happened too. What was that? Ryan Reynolds, Dwayne the Rock
The Grey
Johnson.
Man.
Nah, that was
Oh
that was
no, we had Red Notice, we had The Grey Man, we had
that,
Bright. All of
that
those have sucked.
yep.
Oh,
We
and
had
what was that other one? Ryan
you had
Reynolds with the car.
you had Extraction, which had Chris Hemsworth, directed by the Russo brothers, just after Endgame had happened. You know, when they're all at the
Yeah.
height of their popularity. Just because you have a big names in it doesn't mean. Now I'll say this: I have not seen Del Toro's Pinocchio. I've heard that it's very good. Del Toro has not always been my cup of tea. I love Pan's Labyrinth, although I do think it's seriously overrated. Like people say, greatest movie ever. I'm like, behave. It's very good though. Overrated doesn't mean it's bad. It just means like easy, like, but it's still very good.
Yeah.
Um, Pacific Rim was fun. Pacific Rim 2 was terrible. Crimson Peak, I had no affinity for. He's very hit and miss Del Toro. So there is a trinity of things working here, and not even thinking about the thing that you mentioned, which would make it an oh so fun quadrology um, of things that make me go, oh, I've got all sorts of nerves about this. But yeah,
Yeah.
let us know what you guys think down below. Are you excited for a Frankenstein movie directed by Guillermo Del Toro? I feel like if you're a Del Toro fan, this is going to make you double down. And if you're not a Del Toro fan, this isn't going to sway you either way. Um, and to finish off today's movie news, we are going to talk about Star Wars, the most toxic pit of fandom that exists on the internet. Let's see if we can do a news story without killing each other in the comment section, shall we? Let's try this one on for size. Because oh god, the name Kathleen Kennedy's evolved. I'm already scared. But we have another Star Wars movie coming, AJ. I mean, obviously they announced that there's quite a few of them coming. This isn't major news, but this is quite encouraging for me. So one of the upcoming Star Wars movies is directed by Sean Levy, he of Deadpool fame. Sean Levy on
Okay.
his Star Wars movie says, I have felt extremely empowered. Deadpool 3 director Sean Levy spoke a bit about his upcoming Star Wars movie and the one mandate he was given when joining the film. In an interview with Variety, Levy was asked about the Star Wars movie he's set to helm. The director revealed that Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy only gave him one mandate: to make a Sean Levy movie in the Star Wars universe. When Kathy Kennedy brought me on board to make a Star Wars movie, her central mandate to me was, I want a Sean Levy movie. I want a story and a tone that reflects you and your taste and what you bring to your movies with a Star Wars story. So I have felt extremely empowered, Levy stated. We are in early days, unfortunately, because the development process was abruptly paused due to the strikes, but I feel very empowered to trust my instincts in the development of this story and movie. The filmmaker was also asked about his friendship with Adam Driver, uh, meant the movie could be a prequel film about Kylo Ren. Your words, not mine, Levy said. As you know, Adam is a buddy, and I've always been a huge fan of Kylo Ren, but no comment. AJ, how do you feel about someone who's essentially been a Deadpool director joining the Star Wars world?
It's a weird mix, but I'm open. I feel Star Wars has closed a chapter, and if you're going to do something, you could put it this way. I don't know if I would have him main arc in the same vein that you can have a different appreciation in a solo movie. I feel you can have something quite unique from him and have his own style. And sad to say, by hearing that name, all I've got is Deadpool. I don't have any other films to relate to be like, well, I've seen the Deadpool style, but I've not seen another style.
He's
On a personal note,
to bring you up to note, he's produced a lot of interesting things. Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds, the Adam Project again, also with Ryan
with Ryan
Reynolds.
Reynolds,
Arrival, which he produced with Denis Villeneuve, which is one of the great 21st century sci-fi movies.
see, not having
Uh,
seen it, but hearing what you said in like Rushmore, check it out, guys. That gives me some hope that he knows how to handle sci-fi the right way. You know, that or fantasy, but you get where I'm going with this. He can
yeah,
handle aspect of it correctly. Can I be honest? And I know this might wind a few people up. Can we leave the Skywalkers alone, please? I don't need a Kylo Ren pre-story. It's pretty obvious what happens. He was the spoilt brat of two of our most lovable characters. He killed his dad. He's moved on. He was a villain. He's gone to the Ark. What are you? It's not the mystique of Darth Vader. Do you get what I'm saying? The whole Luke, I'm your father, and who is this guy? How did he become that? He was meant to be a Jedi. No, we've kind of understood. He wanted to follow in Granddaddy's footsteps over Uncle and Mummy. Like there isn't much in the Kylo Ren story, so I really hope it could be anything else. I'm not looking for give me a Sith story maybe. I'm not looking for Rey's origin story because that would be just as bad. But give me something different. I'm personally, and I know that's sacrilege, and I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, so I'm probably going to get like all the hate coming towards me. But let's move on from the Skywalkers, please. They've had 9 films. Give us something fresh.
I'm actually going to agree with you on this. I think for me the most important thing now is the Skywalker story for me has basically been told. You can do a one additional movie about Rey and the aftermath of what happened in Rise of Skywalker if you want. Sure, which is I think what they're doing anyway. But as we've seen with The Mandalorian, as we've seen with Star Wars Rebels, there are so many interesting and engaging stories you can tell that center around some of the main events that happen throughout the Skywalker saga without necessarily involving the Skywalker saga. You can be on the Outer Rim and have usherings of Order 66. You could be you could be a Mandalorian on Mandalore and hear about the Empire taking over and doubling down your defenses. I don't care. There are so many interesting alien races and histories, and I mean, do whatever, have some fun with it. But what I think is utmost important is that forget what the story is. From a production standpoint, what the recent Star Wars movies have shown is that there isn't continuity between producers and directors. Look at Solo. Remember, Ron Howard wasn't meant to be the director of Solo. You and me both enjoyed Solo. A lot of people boycotted it. But remember, they wanted the creators of oh Jesus, why am I Lord and Miller, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, who did Pretty sure
Rogue
they
One?
did. Well, they did Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. They did Into the Spider-Verse. They've done some 21
Okay.
Jump Street. 21 Jump Street, I believe, was theirs. They've done some really notable projects, and then halfway through they got booted off. Gareth Edwards, who made Rogue One, notably said that he was messed with a lot on production. Look at the lack of continuity between Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams between episodes 7, 8, 9. Like, just pick a director, back him like you're allegedly doing, and stick with him and trust his vision if you've brought him on in the first place. Don't shib the bed and then pull the plug halfway through and get another director to come and clean up the mess. If you're going to do that, then reset and start from scratch. Don't try and clean up a mess. But that is it for this week, guys. Let us know what you think about this news of Kathleen Kennedy giving Sean Levy apparently complete autonomy and power in the Star Wars movie. Let us know what you think about Frankenstein from Guillermo Del Toro, a new Spawn movie from Jason Blum, and Taylor Swift beating Martin Scorsese. A lot of tasty stuff this week. Leave your thoughts in your comments down below, and we will see you next week. AJ, take it home.
Okay, guys, look, as you can see there, like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends to tell your friends. If you're into movie news, we are here for you. And more than anything else, if you have joined us for the first time, hit that notification bell so you get the notification as the news drops. And yeah, we'll be back next week. And also check out the movie Mount Rushmore. If you're into films, you'll hear a nice discussion. Yeah, we've got some good stuff for you to check out there. So keep it the Silver Screen Dudes.
And we will see you guys next week. Bye for now. See ya.
See ya.